So our next presenter, Labrina Loving, is going to show us how to not just make a Power Virtual Agent, but how you can extend it using the bot framework to suit your needs.
Hey there, powerful friends. My name is Labrina Loving. I'm a senior software engineer over here at Microsoft. And today's talk is all about how you can bring your superheroes of your enterprise together with all their unique superpowers to build world-class bots. So, over the past couple of years, I've been working with customers all over the world to build chatbots using the Microsoft Bot Framework SDK and other cognitive services tools like Lewis and Q&A Maker. The adoption of bots has been amazing. I've seen organizations build bots for everything from helping onboard employees to reducing calls to their call center by having a bot on their website that answers frequently asked questions and other tasks. I've even seen bots being used to ask common questions for relief in COVID-19. And that has been amazing. But as I've talked to a number of IT directors and CTOs, one of the things that they've shared is, Labrina, we love the bot framework. We've got a ton of C# and Python and JavaScript developers getting ready to build bots, and that's been amazing. But that's only part of our enterprise. And we really want to provide the opportunity for our staff in HR and finance and operations and to be able to build bots, and IT not be a barrier for that. So that's why I'm here today. So today we're going to talk about Power Virtual Agents. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so Power Virtual Agents is a no cliff access to all of the bot framework. So it provides, that's better. So it provides the ability to do things with the full scale of services like Power Virtual Agents, Power Platform, Bot Framework, Azure Cognitive Services, and in a very easy to use canvas that anyone with any superhero power can do. So getting started creating your bot is actually pretty simple. What you would do is you go into a graphical user interface. You start creating topics, and we'll go through this in a little bit in the demo, but you start creating topics. Topics are utterances and trigger words that you would use to initiate your bot. Then you would do things like extract, using natural language. You would do things like extract variables or other services and topics on top. You can integrate your bot with custom skills. So if you happen to have a C# developer or Python or JavaScript developer that you can collaborate with, you can even enrich your bots even further. In addition, you can use tools like Power Automate to further integrate with your bot. Once you've got your bot done and tested, you can publish it to a number of channels. You can publish it to Teams. You can publish it to Facebook. You can have a public serving website that you can publish it to and test it. We have a number of channels that are available, and it's pretty easy to publish those bots there. Once your bot is live, there will be dashboards available to monitor your bot, to provide direct feedback and observability on performance. If there are issues where your bot's not able to find particular utterance or be able to find a particular action to help a user, you can get immediate notifications. So yeah, great. So today I'm going to do a demo that shows that Fusion Dev plus my love for tacos can really equal true love. So as most of us are, we are pretty much so uh, stuck indoors. We're away from our employees. We're away from each other. We're all working remotely. And the one thing that I really miss from my coworkers is I miss being able to get together and have lunch or coffee or ice cream or whatever your favorite thing is. And so I thought it would be a really cool idea that that I could build a bot that actually could create a virtual break meeting in Teams, and then my coworkers could participate, and it'd be a little bit like we were working in the office together. So that's what we're going to build today. Yeah, we're going to go through that now. So before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the Fusion Dev process with Power Virtual Agents. So to start, developers get together, both Power Virtual Agent developers, Power Automate developers, C#, Python, everyone gets together, we collaborate on an idea. The Power Virtual Agent developer will start building topics, they'll start building the entities, and start putting together the flow in the canvas. And they will also have to, which I'll show, you'll have to provide a Power Virtual Agent ID to the C# developer. The C# or JavaScript Python developer will work in their traditional tools like Visual Studio or VS Code to build logic and build custom skills for your bot. Then they will deploy that bot to Azure. The C# and JavaScript developer will provide what's called a manifest, which I will show very quickly. And then the Power Virtual Agent developer uploads that manifest and creates a custom skill based on it. Then once the custom skill is uploaded, the Power Virtual Agent developer can start testing and integrating and validating that the bot is working great. Test and verify functionality, and then we're able to deploy our bot to a channel. And then we all celebrate and eat tacos together. So I am going to now just kind of give you a brief overview of the Power Virtual Agent Center, and then we'll actually walk through a little bit of the code that I built for a custom skill and see how it all kind of comes together. So you go to powerva.microsoft.com. When you get there, you are able to create a new bot. I'm just going to go through how you do that. You give your bot a name. I'm going to just call it Test Taco Bot. The third, the first. I select my language, and then I just hit create. I've already got a bot created, but this is the process. Once you've got your bot created, the next thing that you will do is you will go and you will set up topics. So topics are the entry point and utterances that your end users will use to connect to the bot. So think of when you're, if you've integrated with other bots before, that's that common word that you would use. So if you're familiar with having bots that turn your lights on and off, so the turn off the lights is the command that would also be the equivalent to a topic. So I've actually set up some topics already. So I've created a topic called schedule virtual break. And within within this topic, I've created several trigger phrases, and it's commonly recommended to create at least I would always create at least 10 topics to start training your bot. You want to give your bot as many phrases and variety of ways that your end users might engage with the bot in order for it to really be properly trained. And this could be something that might change and increase over time as your bot matures. Think of your bot as a baby. You give it some information, you train it, and then it matures over time. So I've gone into my tool and I've created a bunch of trigger phrases. So I've created things like plan a virtual break. That might be something a user says, or schedule a lunch break, or I want to meet with with team for coffee. So these are a good variety of phrases that I've set up in my bot. The next step is I will show you just a little bit of the code that your C# or Python developer, JavaScript developer might use to create a custom skill. So what I've done is I've actually gone through, I'm leveraging Visual Studio and C# to create my bot. I've created a bot that will, so I'll kind of go through the bit. So when the user first enters the bot, on this message async activity async, we are collecting some state. We're setting the user state, and we're maintaining this object called virtual break. Virtual break will be our representation of all the properties that we need to schedule our virtual break. Then I've got this fill out virtual break async. So essentially, I'm going to prompt the users for a number of steps in order to find out when they should find out how they want to schedule their virtual lunch break. So so I've created this property called conversation flow. Go to definition here. Yeah, and it's just an enum. It's just a way for me to keep track of where I am in the state. So which question am I on, and what was the last question that I asked? So it's just there mainly for that. So if I come back, I've actually just looping through. I figure out what the last question that was asked. If I'm starting at the beginning, I'm going to say, hey, welcome, let's get started with your virtual break. And I ask the user, what title do you want for your event? Then I will do some validation on that title that they, or event name that they created. Let's go here just so everyone can see. So just doing some null checks here to ensure that they've actually got something in there. And then if they don't, then I will reprompt them with an error message. Okay. So the flow kind of continues on. I go through the event name, description, ask them for a description of the event, then when the start date is, and I validate, again, I'm validating everything on the start date and then the end date. So once everything is complete, what I do is I call this function add virtual break to teams. I'm using MS Graph because I'm using a new library, a new function that's in beta for MS Graph that actually creates a scheduled meeting and adds it to your team's channel. So because it's new, that was another reason why it was a really great way to integrate a custom skill, because it's not something that's available through Power Automate as of yet. So this is my custom skill. I would actually then go forward and deploy this custom skill, which I already have. I would deploy this to Azure. You would normally have some sort of CI/CD pipeline that would, as code gets checked in, you would deploy that code, you'd build that code, test that code, run that code, and then deploy it to your Azure environment. So once I've got my code for my custom skill ready to go, what I would then do is create what's called a manifest. And a manifest is nothing more than essentially something that it's metadata about your bot that the Power Virtual Agent will use to connect to your custom skill. So I've given it an ID, you give it a name, descriptions and publishers, and then you want to create a privacy URL. This would be a lot of the same information that you would use when you deploy your bot. You do what's called, you create what's called an app registration. And an app registration is creating an application in Azure Active Directory that your bot can communicate with securely. And so this would be the same information you would use there. I've given it some tags just for easy to find. Then I've set up my endpoint, and this endpoint should be the same endpoint that you use when you're deploying your bot. So that's what Power Virtual Agent is going to now integrate with to run with your bot. And then you provide it an app ID. And then you provide this activity. Now, the key here, when you create your manifest, it has to be in a folder. It has to be publicly addressable. So you have to provide a URL to Power Virtual Agent. So I've actually put this under my www root directory. I created a folder called manifest, and I just created my JSON file right underneath there. So therefore, when my code gets deployed, it will, I'll be able to get to this website, which I will show you right now. So here's the same. I've deployed my manifest JSON, and here's the schema that I'm able to access. So once I do that, I actually could go, I've already done it here, but you can see I've uploaded the manifest. So you just click on skills, you go, and so I could just walk through. So if I click on add a skill, I enter that manifest URL, and then Power Virtual Agent will do some checks to verify everything is correct, and then it will allow me to provide that skill. So now once the skill is made available, the Power Virtual Agent developer can interact and integrate with that skill. One last thing that just in terms of configuration and setup for this is you want to provide your C# developer or Python or JavaScript developer this ID on their side. So it's kind of like you guys are like exchanging keys, so you can have this bot-to-bot communication. So you will provide this, and the developer will add this as into the app settings for the bot custom skill that's been deployed. Okay, so let's go back and just take a look at what I've built out. So I have this canvas that I've created, and what I've done here is that you see I've created these trigger phrases. And then once the trigger phrases are any of those trigger phrases, the bot recognizes, it will start with adding a message. And then once my message, I've created what's called, you can ask a question. So these are some of the things that are available. So I clicked ask a question. I said it was a multiple choice. You actually could, there's a ton of pre-built questions that you could ask. I could ask what country you're in. I could ask date and times, a bunch of pre-built things and a bunch of multiple choice things I could use. So I've asked, hey, you want to create a virtual break? Would you plan, what would you like to plan? So do you want to do breakfast, coffee, lunch, or snack? And then this automatically gives me some conditions. I write that condition to a variable called event type. And then this is where I actually now can call that utterance. So this is my custom code that I would call. So just briefly, I will just do a quick test here. So this. So I'll do a quick test. So I'll say schedule virtual lunch. Yes. And so it corrected me. And so you can see now as I start to test, it actually is checking like where I am. So, hey, it went through my message. Now we're here. It's asking me this question. I'm going to say that I want to do a lunch. And then it will ask me. And so now it's into my virtual break custom skill. So it asked me what's the title of my event. I'll say, let's eat tacos. And I'll provide a brief description. So want to get together for tacos. And so this is that same code that we saw that was running. And then thanks. When do you want to do it? I'm going to say Friday at noon. And then, so last thing, just when do you want it to end? I'm going to say Friday at 1. And so there you have it. Everything's been created. And it would create this this in Teams. So just got a few minutes left. So Donna told me that I had to give everybody homework, so I'm doing it. So first off, I want everyone to get together and with coworkers and brainstorm ideas for bots. Any developers that are C# or Python or JavaScript, go out and review bot framework skills, review our resources on getting up to speed on Power Virtual Agents, and then just go out to powerva.microsoft.com and start building your bot. And so we're wrapping up, and I will be on dev.to You can ask me anything. We can delve a little bit deeper into building custom skills with Bot Framework. I can show you a little bit and talk a little bit more about Graph or anything you want to do or talk about with Power Virtual Agents. I'm totally available. So looking forward to everyone being here, and discussing. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for your time.